Hello, everybody. My name is Kevin Drakulik, and I'm part of the marketing team here at Unitrends, and just wanted to go over a couple things before we get started today. So first and foremost, everybody that is on the call right now is in listen-only mode, so that means that we cannot, as presenters, hear you ask any questions, even if you unmute yourself, so everyone's kind of stuck on mute. So if you would like to ask a question, I strongly encourage you to use the Q&A section on the right-hand side. That way we can easily get to everyone's questions, and if we don't even get to your question, we'll follow up with you directly at the conclusion of the webinar. So please feel free at any point to go ahead and ask a question into the Q&A section. Second, if everyone in attendance today has been entered to win, or for a chance to win, a $500 Amazon gift card. So we'll be reaching out to the winner at the conclusion of the event today. And thirdly, be sure to follow us on LinkedIn and Facebook if you don't already. We constantly have educational webinars such as this one where we often do a free prize or a giveaway. So it's always kind of fun to go get some education and then also have a little bit of a giveaway with that as well. So, and also if you have any questions at any point in time and you want to follow up directly with either your account manager or a sales representative, feel free to email sales@unitrends.com, and that way we can also get straight to you and your question as well. So with the details out of the way, I'm going to turn it over to Max Lindauer, who is our solutions engineer, who is going to take us through our presentation today. So I'll turn it over to Max.
Thanks so much, Kevin, and thanks so much, everybody, for joining today. Like Kevin mentioned, my name is Max Lindauer. I'm one of the solutions engineers here at Unitrends, and today we're going to talk about how to build a comprehensive Nutanix strategy with Unitrends as a really easy-to-manage backup and DR solution to complement that hyper-converged infrastructure that you get with Nutanix, right? So Nutanix is the leader of hyper-converged infrastructure. Until Nutanix, data center managers' only option was to buy and configure servers, storage, and networks as separate devices, configure each of them separately, and then hope they'll interoperate well. It also means that there were multiple management applications, different vendors each with their own upgrades, and sometimes an upgrade would break a connection. It must be pointed out that most Nutanix customers still have traditional servers and storage, so they'll need a backup and recovery solution that can handle both infrastructure models. All of this is managed within the hyper-converged infrastructure. There's one device that contains a server, storage, and interconnections, all managed with a single management application and a single UI. This greatly simplifies enterprise purchasing, support, and configuration. By adding Unitrends and our single UI data center, managers can now run with just two major management tools, one for IT infrastructure and one for data protection and recovery. So when it comes to Nutanix AHV, most Nutanix customers today are still using VMware. But a lot of the folks that we talk to are really taking a good look at Nutanix Hypervisor, Acropolis, or AHV. And there's a good reason for that, right? Nutanix AHV will eliminate some of those high costs associated with VMware and allow you to virtualize your environment using the Nutanix AHV without a sincere loss of performance. So we support integration with all of the hypervisors with Nutanix, not just AHV. And not all hypervisors are the same. One of the good things about Unitrends is our long legacy of working well with different environments and understanding how to implement APIs to reduce and avoid potential issues with recovery and business continuity. We're seeing often in the space today with a current vendor, which will remain nameless, having lots of issues implementing AHV integration and issues with recovery. Unitrends has been able to avoid this due to our long history working through the APIs of these different hypervisors and providing our customer base with a much more robust solution. So now Unitrends is certified as Nutanix Ready. You can see this on the Nutanix Technology Alliance partner page. And this is a really great addition for our customer base and for folks looking at Unitrends, because it really spreads out the wealth and spreads the functionality and performance of what you're able to do and manage with Unitrends. We're not just a physical server backup solution. We're not just a single virtual environment backup solution. We support all the new incoming hypervisors like AHV, as well as legacy hypervisors like Hyper-V, VMware, and Zen Hypervisor as well. And in terms of why customers care, right? Nutanix is not a backup and business continuity company, but they do provide some basic protections. Nutanix has basic backup and recovery capabilities built into these platforms. They can take snapshots. They can move copies of their data move them to a remote site, and even recover them on another Nutanix platform locally or remotely. Unitrends takes those snapshots and uses them to provide more advanced backup and recovery capabilities that come with our Recovery Series hardware and Unitrends backup software appliances. Together, we provide an enterprise-grade full data center solution. So really providing a really simple way to not only manage your IT infrastructure, but having Unitrends gives you the easiest way to manage the backup and DR solution for Nutanix environments, for physical systems, and maybe some other hypervisors or other solutions you have within your environment. So when we talk about some of the benefits for Nutanix and Unitrends users, now with native support, we can do snapshotting for AHV. This is all managed through that single pane Unitrends user interface for backup and disaster recovery, giving you SLA policy automation, automated ransomware detection, and really just centralizes your overall backup and recovery process for full machine recovery, for granular recovery, even for offsiting data to Unitrends cloud and long-term archiving. With agents, you get the DR as a service, automated DR testing through copy data management, and automated compliance reporting and recovery assurance testing as well. So here's a few links to our Nutanix data sheets and how they integrate with Nutanix, how a couple success stories through SGS Polymers and Blackline as well. So a really great kind of use case and success stories for current Unitrends customers integrating into Nutanix environments and how we've been able to quickly recover and keep their environment going no matter what occurs. So when we talk about where does Unitrends fit in this overall picture? So locally, Unitrends can be deployed either as a virtual appliance on your hypervisor like AHV or VMware, Hyper-V or Xen, or we have an all-in-one physical appliance called the Recovery Series. These Recovery Series appliances range from 2 terabytes to 120, and there's no licensing with the appliance. It's called unlimited licensing. It's just a capacity-based pricing model. You pay for what you need, and you use that appliance for your local retention, and then offsite that data through our backup copy methodology. And in terms of what we're able to protect, Unitrends is one of the oldest solutions for protecting physical environments. We were protecting Unix environments back in the late 80s. That's where we got the Uni and Unitrends. Now we've expanded to over 250 operating systems, going back all the way to NT 3.1. Beyond physical environments, like I mentioned, we can protect virtual environments agentlessly, like Nutanix AHV, VMware, Hyper-V, and Xen, as well as the ability to protect NAS devices through CIFS, NFS, and NDMP, and specific applications like SQL Server, Oracle, SharePoint, and Exchange locally as well. So all that data is, whether it's physical, virtual, NAS, or applications, are backed up through your local area network, deduplicated and compressed on a global inline, adaptive global inline verification methodology, giving us about a 25-to-1 data reduction ratio. Once that data is on that appliance, we see typically 30 to 45 days retention, and then we can offsite that data through what we call a cold backup copy or an archive to a NAS or SAN through NFS or CIFS, or tape through SAS or Fiber, or third-party clouds like AWS, Google Cloud, and Rackspace, even to disk through eSATA or USB connection. So one of the great things about Unitrends archiving and just Unitrends in general, it's a very flexible solution, and with our archiving methodology, we're hardware agnostic. As long as we can write to that device through NFS or CIFS or connect to that tape through SAS or Fiber, we can archive to it. We don't care the brand or version of that device. And then we do hot copies as well, or replication, to a secondary Unitrends appliance at your recovery site or to the Unitrends cloud. Both in the cloud and within your local environment, we have recovery assurance. Recovery assurance automates that DR planning and DR testing for you, spins up from the backups into a sandbox, gives you RPO, RTO compliance, even gives you a test and dev environment that you can jump into and run your own testing. With the Unitrends cloud, not only do we do automated DR testing, we can actually host and manage your DR infrastructure through our data centers in what we call DR as a service. And we are the only solution in the market today that offers a hard SLA guarantee of how fast we can get your environment up. Whether it's an hour or 24 hours, we have a legal SLA that guarantees your environment will be up and running and your applications will be performing at production level within that hour. So in terms of what a recovery SLA is, it's an agreement, in this case a contractual one, regarding how much downtime you'll see in a data loss event. In terms of what goes into an SLA, RPO, recovery point objective, RTO, recovery time objective, and of course recourse, right? In terms of what an RPO is, recovery point objective, this is how much data loss will I accept. And this is measured between the working recovery points that you have, not just the backups you have, but working recovery points. And we're able to give you those working recovery points by automatically testing the recoverability and compliance of all of those backups you're running. RTO, this is how much downtime will I accept. And this is measured by the time it takes for not only the machine to boot, but for the application to be available and performing at production level. And recourse, what's this penalty if not met? Is it going to be money, credit, job loss, or nothing? And when you look at your own environment today, take a look and really think, do you have recovery SLAs defined and documented? Survey says not likely, right? And there are reasons for this. SLAs are difficult to put in place, oftentimes due to a lack of accountability, lack of confidence, lack of understanding of impact. So these SLAs are not easy to put in place, and it's a really important thing that Unitrend is able to offer our customers to guarantee and really give them the confidence that no matter what, they'll be back up and running within that hour. And of course, where recovery happens is important too. Whether you're recovering files, applications, or VMs, or doing bare metal recoveries locally at a second DR site that you're managing within a hyperscale cloud like AWS or Azure, or through the Unitrend's purpose-built cloud. And obviously, these hyperscale clouds like AWS and Microsoft's cloud are really valuable and important for business, but there are certain use cases where the purpose-built cloud that Unitrend offers beats a hyperscale cloud. And these come down to recovery SLAs, scalability and OS compatibility, having an all-in-one holistic support line that's 100% US-based, and a total cost of ownership and cost predictability. Hyperscale clouds may be very cheap to implement at first to send your data to S3, for example. Pulling all of that data back, however, is an unexpected and incredibly high-cost scenario. With Unitrends, there's no ingress or egress fees. You get a predictable total cost of ownership and can give you a more even keel when it comes to budgeting and operational expenses. Another thing that Unitrends is able to offer our customers is analytics, machine learning, and automation that allows you to proactively let you know the impact of an outage, automate your DR and compliance testing, give you full HIPAA-compliant reporting so that you don't have to do manual DR testing again. This machine learning and automation is also able to detect security threats before you might otherwise know through our proactive ransomware detection, provision test and dev environments, and proactively open support cases. So one of the greatest things that I hear about from our Unitrends customer base is, I just got a disk in the mail. What's going on? I didn't order this. And that's because we're proactively supporting all of our appliances. If they're not air-gapped in their own isolated network, we're able to connect to it, understand if a disk is about to fail, and overnight a new disk to you. Now with our new Gen 8 appliances, we have self-healing disks. These have reduced the amount of support cases for disk failure over 90%, also reduced the amount of electricity and energy needed to run these appliances due to larger disks by up to 60%, giving you incredible cost savings in that regard as well. So in terms of how Unitrends helps to simplify your Nutanix, physical, or other virtual environment infrastructure, it's all about simplicity. We look at this in an old world versus a new world mentality. In the old world, I see this all the time, people have different vendors, different solutions at every single part of this backup and DR stack that on their own work really well, whether it's backup software or third-party hardware, replicating to a third-party cloud, and then using some other technology for DR testing. These solutions may be great on their own, but integrated together, there can be issues. They can leave people with more management, less confidence in their ability to recover, and unfortunately, the scenario of finger pointing, right? You call your software vendor, they say, no, this is a hardware problem. You talk to your hardware company, they point you back to the software company. At the end of the day, your environment's down, your boss is breathing down your neck, you need to get back up and running, and you need to find what's going on. With Unitrends, in the new world scenario, much simpler. Having a Unitrends physical or virtual appliance locally, replicating to the Unitrends cloud, doing automated DR testing and DR as a service within the cloud, and then all supported to that US-based support team, gives our customer base much more confidence that they'll be able to recover and deal with any issues that occur within their environment no matter what and get back up and running quickly. So when it comes to the cloud, right, we take this old world and new world methodology and apply it to the cloud. In the old world, there is limited or no DR as a service. This is more of a manual process. DR testing is certainly not automated. It's a manual process as well. It takes a lot of time. limited retention. There can be concerns with, well, do I really want to pull all this data back? What's the cost going to be? And then, of course, there's no guarantees, no SLAs. And because these hyperscale clouds are dealing with so many different clients, there can be huge network bottlenecks that impact you and your business. In the new world, through Unitrends, there's not going to be finger pointing. There's a lot less management. It's all managed through a single vendor. So we offer DR as a service both for physical environments and virtual environments, giving the only industry physical and virtual automated DR testing through recovery assurance, giving you infinite retention if needed, and ultimately more confidence through our SLAs, through our WAN optimized data seeding. We'll ship you a NAS if bandwidth is an issue. You load up that data, then from that point on, you just replicate incremental data from backup point to backup point. So when I talked about total cost of ownership and how Unitrends Cloud is priced differently, this is really how it works, right? So we only price out your cloud based on how much you're protecting locally. And that's purchased in 500 gigabyte increments and the retention you're looking for. So whether that retention in the cloud is 90 days, a year, 2 years, 7 years, or infinite, we hold all that data in a GFS rotation, 7 dailies, 4 weeklies, 12 monthlies, and then yearlies beyond that point to give you full long-term retention hosted within our cloud at a fixed cost. And then if you'd like, we have DR as a service. We can actually manage your DR for you. You just choose what machines you want to have spun up in our cloud and what tier of SLA you're looking for, whether that premium DRAS with a 1-hour SLA is required or elite with a 24-hour or even just best effort with no SLA. Obviously, those have different prices, and you can pick and choose which machines fall within each bucket. So those critical machines can be in that 1-hour SLA, and then those other machines that are less vital to your business running can be in a different tier, saving you money, but still giving you the functionality and performance you're looking for. So Unitrends really helps you manage both offsiting your data, the DR, and just keeping best practices to minimize downtime in general, right? So when we talk about best practices, obviously backing up your data, protecting it's important, being able to recover is important. But these middle three here, this is what actually gives you the ability to be confident and know that when it's time to recover, you'll be able to quickly and easily. So secure your data. This is often overlooked. Having a Windows-based backup solution, which is all too common in the industry today, can leave your data susceptible to the same ransomware that can infect production environments. We see now ransomware is going in and targeting Windows-based backup solutions first, and then going in and encrypting your production environment. And without backups, you often have no choice but to pay the criminals and pay that ransom to try to get your data back. Now, testing. Testing is often ignored. It's an important piece of DR planning of best practices, and there's a reason why it's ignored. It's a pain. Manual DR testing takes a lot of time. Oftentimes, it's a compliance thing. And having your whole team come in on a weekend periodically to spin up your whole environment for a test can seem like a really high cost that when there's so much else going on, it can kind of fall by the wayside. So with Unitrends, by automating that DR testing, we give you that full understanding of what the impact of an outage would be without having to spend resources and time managing that process. And then new with the solution is our ransomware detection. Through proactive analytics and artificial intelligence, we're able to understand if individual client machines have abnormal change rates or data entropy levels that are indicative of ransomware, send you alerts, flag the backup, prevent replication, and let you go in and quickly recover, isolate, and get your business back up and running. So when I talk about that analytics and automation here, this is the Unitrends interface. You sign in, this is what you're going to see the dashboard. I'll jump through the interface in a moment, but I just wanted to highlight this individual tile, recovery assurance. This is that automated testing. We actually take your backups, spin them up in a sandbox based on the boot order, networking configuration, and timing and frequency that you'd like, and test for RPO and RTO compliance. Run executable tests within each individual machine, whether it's your own custom PowerShell script or a SQL query with an expected output. This gives you the confidence and understanding not only was this backup valid, right? There's hundreds of backup vendors that can give you a green check mark that says your backup went through successfully, but that the recovery is successful and it's meeting your objectives. And not only is the machine able to boot, but the applications and files within it behave as you would expect. So this is the compliance report. It allows you to really proactively understand what the impact of an outage would be, not only what that we met your RPO and RTO requirements, but what the actual RPO and RTO was with the Unitrends system and getting your environment back. And we give you full step-by-step detection for any recovery issues. Here's that recovery assurance test. Start and end time for starting the VM configuration, running that executable, powering it down. So it really gives you full understanding of this DR test. We have a lot of customers who are in the healthcare space today who just use this report directly for HIPAA auditing. They don't have to do any more manual DR testing. They send this report directly to the HIPAA auditors, and they go on their way. So before I run through our Q4 promos here, I do want to jump into the interface. And before I do that, I do want to encourage everyone on the call, if you have any questions about the solution, now is a great time to chat them in. I really like hearing what the folks in the webinar are thinking, what they're curious about, so that I can tailor the presentation and the demonstration to the folks on the call. So please take a moment here just to chat in any questions you may have. Love to address them throughout the demo and at the end during the Q&A section. So in terms of accessing the Unitrends appliance, really simple, really easy. All you do is type in your IP of that appliance, either physical or virtual, in your local browser. The first thing you're going to see when you sign in is the dashboard. The dashboard gives you a high-level summary of everything that you need to know when it comes to backup, recovery, replication, DR testing, all in one place. So you don't have to waste time digging around looking for information. It's all front and center for you. Here you can see your backup summary, replication summary, recovery summary, and here is that recovery assurance, that DR testing summary that we talked about earlier. On the top right, you can see any errors or alerts, whether an agent needs to be updated or we've detected ransomware in your environment. And this isn't just a full environment ransomware detection indicator. This is actually on the client level. So we're letting you know what machine looks like it was impacted so you can quickly dive in and isolate whether it was truly ransomware and shut it down, prevent it from spreading throughout your environment. Another big piece of the Unitrends solution, beyond the simplicity of the interface and the product itself, is our support. So if at any point using Unitrends you have questions, all you have to do is reach out to our support team, which is 100% US-based down in Columbia, South Carolina. You can open a support tunnel directly through the UI here, then call or chat into support, and then they can VPN right into your appliance through the support tunnel, check logs, troubleshoot, and get you back up and running quickly. This is one of the main reasons why we have that 99% customer satisfaction rating, because our support team is always accessible and quick to address any issues that may come up. There's not going to be any finger pointing with Unitrends. We're able to address and get your environment up and running quickly due to our amazing support staff down in Columbia. So not only do these tiles give you great high-level summary information, which is obviously important to understanding how your backup and recovery process is going, you can dive into each individual tile to pull more details, really dive into the weeds. So if I were to click on these 10 successful tests from our recovery assurance test, that brings you its correlated report, that recovery assurance report. And here you see all the different tests that have run. You can customize columns on this and other reports as well as dive into individual columns. You'll see this throughout the interface, throughout the demo. All the columns you're able to dive into, quickly isolate information that you need. If you click on one of the tests, here's where you'll see the step-by-step process of how this recovery test has gone, start and end time for each individual process. Really gives you the details that you would want, even in a manual DR test, but probably even more so, and have it all automated to run every day, every week, every hour. In terms of configuration, really setting up the appliance to connect to the outside world and creating the security and email notification settings here, you do that all through the Configure tab. So here you can see we actually have multiple appliances that we're managing all through the same console. So if you have multiple sites, you have multiple appliances that are running at the same site, but you can run them all through the same interface. Even if you're a MSP and you have multiple customers, you can manage them all through a single interface as well. If you're concerned about security of who gets access to the appliance, right? You can set up different email notifications for folks, even if they're not actively managing. They can get emails alerting that how these recovery tests have gone. So these recovery test emails will look just like they did in the interface, but can be sent out to maybe, the CTO. He's not going to be actively managing backup in DR, but he sure as hell wants to make sure that recovery testing is being done and that you guys are in compliance with those SLAs, not only that we're offering you, but that you're offering your other business units as an IT department. And beyond email alerts, you can create different role-based access. So there's obviously going to be a main root user, but you can create different users right through AD grouping, connecting through AD groups, and choose maybe someone to just be a recovery operator. So you could have someone just get access to the appliance to recover from individual machines. So they don't have access to change backup schedules or alter recoveries from any other asset other than the ones you give them access to. And then, of course, security is an incredibly top of mind and important with the Unitrend solution, we're not a security company by any means, but having valid backups is the last ring of protection that can really save your butt if your front-end security were to fail or your end users were to maybe click on something they shouldn't and get something in your environment. So we enable encryption, AES 256-bit encryption with your own passphrase, both at rest and on the fly right here. So this gives your backup data the security you'll need to ensure that no one else will get access to it unless they have that passphrase. When it comes to choosing where you're going to replicate or archive that data, you do that right here through backup copy targets, whether it's to the Unitrends cloud, a secondary Unitrends appliance at your own DR site, third-party cloud like AWS, Rackspace, or Google, or writing off to a NAS or SAN through NFS or CIFS. And then, of course, you can continue to write to disk or tape through fiber or SAS connections as well. And when replicating data off-site, you don't have to worry about bandwidth getting clogged up. Obviously, you can set up a bandwidth throttling schedule. So during the weekday, during business hours, you're only going to use, for example, 10% of your available bandwidth. This allows you to really ensure that no one in your business is going to have any impact to their work just because backup data is replicating off-site. Then later at night or in the weekends, it can jump up to 90% of your available bandwidth. And then under protected assets, this is where Unitrends customers connect the appliance to that outside world, whether it's to physical servers or VMs right with our agent. You just put the asset name and IP and credentials in, and we'll connect to it, or connecting directly to a virtual host, right? We talked about VMware, Hyper-V, and of course Nutanix AHV. All you have to do is put in the name, IP, and credentials, click Save, and then we're able to connect to that Nutanix AHV host and manage the snapshotting of those VMs, as well as VMware and Hyper-V. Really flexible solution that allows you to manage your physical, virtual, NAS backup all within one single console. And some VMs you might want to back up as a snapshot as well as with the agent. And here you see, Burr Labs, SQL. Here's our SQL server. We're able to snapshot it through our ESXi host. We also have that same VM with an agent attached to it that we've configured. And that agent gives us some more granularity to go in and isolate specific databases within that SQL server, give you granular item-level restore for Exchange, or give you the search functionality to restore specific files. So sometimes you might want to do both depending on your use case to give you that full functionality and the advantages of both the agent and the agentless backups. Here you can update all the agents directly through the console. You can isolate individual assets through the column search here. And I don't want to spend too much time on creating backup jobs. Not incredibly complicated, right? Backing up data isn't the most complicated process of what we're doing. It is important, however, how simple and easy we make it. So with Unitrends, you can create an SLA policy where you choose specific agent-based assets or AHV VMs that fall within the same compliance requirements. Then you go in and choose what's the RPO of those machines, what's the retention requirements of those machines, where are we off-siting that data, and what's the retention on that archived media. You can do that all within one place, where in other solutions you might be clicking around for a while to try to figure out how to manage all this. Unitrends makes it really simple and easy to get all of that information locked in one spot and create those backup schedules based on those requirements. And then where the rubber really meets the road here, it's not just creating backup jobs based on those SLAs, it's actually testing and automating that testing process through our data copy access feature to ensure that we are meeting those RPOs, those RTOs, those retention requirements through automated testing. So you should really do your entire environment just for the sake of the demo here. I'll do it a little bit smaller, just like maybe our SQL server, AD server in this case. So you choose the machines you want to test. You choose the profile. What RPO and RTO do you want to test these machines for? You can create different profiles for different tiers of machines. Choose the frequency of that test. You want it to run every day, every hour, every week. You can select that schedule here. And then you go in and really define the VM option. So for this SQL server, we're going to make sure it boots second after AD, so it connect right to that AD for connection and for credential sake. Then we're going to say, well, where's the location of the restore? What network do we want this to restore to? Obviously, we're going to want it to be on its own isolated sandbox environment so that it doesn't impact production. Then you can re-IP the machine on restore, or just go in, and once that machine is booted, choose what type of test you want to run, whether it's a PowerShell script, a malware scan, Here you see a number of Exchange-specific tests. This is a SQL server, so you would run a SQL query within a specific table or database that gives you the understanding not only is this machine able to boot, but that the SQL data within it is valid as what you would expect in production. And this will connect directly through AD in that sandbox, get you access to that database, and then allow you to run this query. And then at the end of it, tear it all down and send you that report that I showed you through email and through the interface as well. Another important feature of this data copy access isn't just testing. Now, automated testing is important, but you can also run this test and then leave it up for you and your users to go in to an instant lab. So actually use the appliance's resources, the storage and RAM, to spin up these machines and then dive in and run your own QA or patch testing or upgrade testing you might not want to run in production first time around. You can do that right here through that data copy access feature. And then if you put in your entire environment, you put in your whole DR playbook into the interface, with one click, you can fail over every machine live based on those requirements. Really cool, really simple way to automate your backup, replication, DR testing process so that you can spend your time managing other things while still feeling confident that no matter what happens to your business, be it human error or Mother Nature, you'll be back up and running quickly. And when it comes to recovery, right, this is really the meat of the solution. Backups are important, but they really don't matter if you're not able to recover. So the types of recoveries that you'd want to do are important, whether it's file level recoveries. You can go in and click a point in time and search through the folder tree and find the specific file or share you're looking for, and then recover that back to any other machine in your environment if you've connected the agent to them. Now, beyond just searching through the folder tree, and we can do this both for physical servers, agent-based backups, as well as snapshots, we also have the ability with our agent to search. So what the search capability allows you to do, and this is a common use case, right? Not everybody who loses a file knows exactly where it's located. They might not even know what it's called. So with Unitrends, you're able to search by wildcard, by extension, by date, by size in an individual asset to pull out, for example, all the PDF files within that machine. Then, because our agent has indexed that machine, we're able to go in and find the right file that you're looking for. If you hover over files, it'll show you the path. You'll see the backup date, the file create date. And then you can recover that individual file or files to any server that you've configured with your environment, even creating your own restore folder if you'd like, or back to the original directory as well. You see here you can run pre or post restore scripts. You can exclude things on both the backups and the recovery process, override existing file dates to today, override the existing files themselves. So you really see all the options and the granularity that you're able to get with file level recovery with Unitrends. And beyond file level recovery, you can do specific application recovery, whether, for example, we isolated those SQL databases and are able to truncate those transaction logs to give you very granular point-in-time restore capabilities. You can restore individual database to a specific minute, even to a different SQL server within your environment, and choose pre or post restore scripts to implement during that restore process as well. And then beyond, application restores, whether it's item level for Exchange or SQL servers, you can go in and quickly recover an entire VM through what we call instant recovery or replicas. So I do want to highlight both of these feature sets quickly. So replicas is a way of pre-building local VMs, either VMware VMs or Windows physical or virtual machines, out as cold copies, offline replicas on secondary hosts. For Windows machines, you can actually build these replicas right on the Unitrends appliance for failover or on a secondary VMware Hyper-V host. You can choose how many restore points you want. So in the event of a disaster, these replicas are constantly updating. In the event of a disaster, all you have to do is go to that replica, turn it on, and then you can connect directly to it. So on the appliance itself, if I go down to storage, click edit here, you'll see on the storage that's allocated to the appliance what's allocated for backup and what's allocated for instant recovery. So instant recovery is a way of quickly getting VMs up and running by creating an NFS share on this allocated storage, connecting it through an API call back to the hypervisor, standing up the machine without having to rebuild the entire data store, and then migrating that data from the NFS share to your existing data store on that hypervisor using vMotion, for example, with VMware. So we can do a live VM recovery and show you how quickly this is. If you click on a specific VM, say that SQL server, click on a point in time, I'm going to click instant recovery here. So we're going to do this in audit mode here. This works with VMware, with Hyper-V, with AHV. I'm going to choose the data store, network. I'm going to do this in audit mode. It just means the NIC is disconnected. It's not going to overwrite the existing VM in that environment. And then you can go in and change the name of the restore if we want. So we can go, Nutanix webinar, and then click Save. We see it's going to restore to host 23, and that the instant recovery has started successfully. Here you see that VM. If I click View Details, it'll show you, it's starting to create that disk image, that NFS share on the appliance, making that API call back to the host. So you can see here this is started at 11:38 Eastern Time, 23 seconds. So if I connect to our vSphere environment here, open it up a little bit, see that 23 host, you'll see here that that NAS data store has already been connected. So in less than 2 minutes here, we're able to fully restore a VM without having to rebuild that entire VM. So the replicas pre-build it. So the recovery time in that case is just turning it on. With instant recovery, we use the appliance's storage to create that NFS share, connect it to the hypervisor, and then quickly boot the machine through that storage connection. So here you can see that this VM is already populated. It's being configured. In a moment, it'll power on. And now we can go in, connect to it, bring it into production, run any tests we'd want, and then at the end, we can tear it down through the interface. It'll make an API call back to the hypervisor, tear it down through there. So really easy way to restore both virtual machines, files, applications, even individual, even doing bare metal restores. So do want to highlight how easy it is to do bare metal with Unitrends. You don't need to run separate bare metal backups to do both similar or dissimilar restores for Windows machines. On the Unitrends appliances share, so you search that through the File Explorer, you can click on Virtual Failover. There's just a WinPE ISO image, a bare bones Windows ISO you can deploy to either to your virtual environment, write it off to disk or to flash to boot it into another physical server. That'll open up a GUI, and that'll bring you back to the appliance and say, well, what point in time do you want to restore from? And if you're curious, well, why do we only see the backup points from today? That's just because that's what the filters are on the right. So you can see here there's all these different filters for date, for backup type by name, and you can create different filters to really isolate individual machines that you're looking for and then dive in and restore from them. Then you can save those filters for future use cases. Even filter by backup copy hot. So if you're replicating data to the Unitrends cloud, for example, you don't have a separate cloud interface. It's all managed directly through the Unitrends console. So you can go in and recover files just as if that data was hosted locally by searching through the file tree and finding those files or folders that you're looking to restore, as well as doing a full import of that backup copy back to your appliance. It's all WAN optimized, both on replication and import. So we're only going to import incremental data, just the block of data that's changed. Really quick, both replication and recovery time, and as well with that bandwidth throttler, you're going to really ensure that you're not going to overload your bandwidth and impact your business in any way. So really cool to be able to isolate individual machines that you need, manage both your cloud backups and your local backups through the same console, even if they're on multiple appliances. If I go to Protect tab here, you can see the different appliances that we have configured, and you can create those backup jobs, replication, data copy access test jobs, or SLA policies, or even replicas here. I really like the Protect tab personally because it gives you a high-level summary of all the machines in your environment that you're protecting. What happened over the past week? Did you back them up? Were they replicated to that secondary site? Were the backup copies successful? If you see any issues at all, just click on that point. It's all green here, but if you click on that point, you'll view the details and you can look through the logs. And if reading logs is not something you really want to spend much time doing, don't worry. With Unitrends, you really don't have to. All you have to do if you have an error or an issue is open that support tunnel, reach out to our US-based support team. They'll VPN in, address your issue, get you back up and running. Again, we do have a 99% customer sat rating, in large part due to that US-based support team. Now we're back at the dashboard. So a really simple interface allows you to kind of match that simple IT infrastructure that you have with Nutanix and their console, but all for backup and DR for both physical and virtual environments managed through a single console. So to bring it back to the PowerPoint here, I do want to quickly talk about our Q4 promo, where we're going to help you break free from any backup headaches that you may have. So what is this promo? What are we talking about here? At the end of the year, Q4, it's going to end December 31st. We are offering free hardware and free installation services for any size of our Generation 8 Unitrends Recovery Series backup appliances. So those range from 2 terabytes to 120. So this is great for existing customers, for new customers looking to switch to Unitrends. And then in terms of what's in it for you, all you do is switch to a new Recovery Series appliance and only pay for support. So it's not 100% free. You still have to pay for our US-based support team. But it's just a 3- or 5-year support contract, and you get the latest appliance, installation services with our professional installation engineers. We'll connect with you through WebEx, set up everything according to best practice, make sure your data is replicated to the cloud, help set up your DR and DR testing, giving you that full Enterprise Plus functionality that's great for automating multi-site and cloud-based disaster recovery processes. And again, access to our 100% US-based support team 24/7 with ransomware detection on a hardened Linux platform. To get into the fine print, right, this is a promo. There really isn't much, but it's worth going over. You must purchase undiscounted multi-year support, 3 or 5 years. There's no additional discounts that can be applied, can't be combined with other promos or offers, and this really ends at the end of the year, December 31st. And that's it. That's really it. So an awesome offer to get a Unitrends Recovery Series in your environment for a much lower cost than it would be at any other point in the year. So for a call to action, please visit us at unitrends.com, email sales@unitrends.com, download our virtual appliance as a 30-day free trial. You can get connected to one of our engineers like myself to walk you through best practices and really get you up and running quickly. Get a demo, your own personalized demo. And please reach out to some of the Unitrends customers. You don't have to take my word for it. That 99% customer satisfaction rating really speaks for itself, and we really encourage folks looking to talk to current Unitrends customers. And if you want a success story or you want to be connected to a reference, reach out and we can help connect you to someone within your area or industry. And in terms of some larger customers that you might have heard of, here's a quick slide that kind of highlights some of the customers that we've currently signed on. So at the end of the day, what do we offer? A one-vendor option for managing your entire backup and continuity process, giving you more confidence in your ability to recover through automated DR testing, securing your backup in a purpose-built hardened Linux environment with proactive ransomware detection, giving you a unified, all-in-one US-based support team to help you out throughout any of the process. So like Kevin said, please follow us on all the different social media platforms. I'm going to take a moment here to read through and answer some of the questions that we got. Thank you so much for the questions. We have a lot right now. Hold on. Question involving how quick is the search functionality for file recovery? You should have seen that through the demo. Really quick, shouldn't take more than 10 seconds or so. And with the test environments, questions about we have an ERP solution. Moving forward, we need to have an always on or mostly on test environment. Can this be done with Unitrends to be available always or just a point in time? Yeah, so this test environment you can spin up from a point in time from the backup and then leave it up and running until you have run all the testing you need, and then you can tear it down manually.
Max, I see one here. So what is the standard encryption that is supported?
So the Unitrends appliance will connect directly to the hypervisor, manage the snapshots, or do an agent-based file-level, application-level backup. And then we have our own encryption, AES 256-bit encryption, that you can apply to that data, both at rest and on the fly with your own passphrase that you would set up throughout the interface. It's a great question. See a question here about how often do updates need to be applied to the Unitrends software. So typically we are releasing new software upgrades, I would say every 6 months or so. One of the great things about the Unitrends product, and I've been with the company for over 2 years now and really have seen it tried and true, we really care what our customers have to say and what they think about the solution and how it could be better. It can always be better. We want to hear from you about how we can improve. And we just had a recent software update 10.2. 90% of those changes in our 10.2 software update were customer suggestions. So we really do want to hear about what our customers are saying, and then we actually implement it into the solution. So we are growing quickly, 30,000 customers globally today, but we still have the feel of a small company from a customer service perspective. We really are quick to care. If you call support, there's no hold time, there's no Kenny G music or auto teller. You get connected directly to an engineer who can help address your issues quickly and really hear how things can be better.
Max, I see a question here that asks, what does the install services include for the Q4 promos? And I can handle that one. So basically, it's end-to-end installation, and it's not time-bound. So essentially, it's going to cover knowledge transfer, making sure that your backup copies are set. So really, it's going to be you tell us when you're ready to go and you're comfortable. But the one thing is that it is kind of on a first-come, first-served basis. So if you buy today, you get that free hardware, and you want to get installed, that means the next person who buys tomorrow is going to have to wait until you are kind of up and ready to go. And obviously, our support team is there and able to manage multiple installs at once, but it is on a first-come, first-served basis. So just wanted to highlight that.
I see here a quick question revolving which ports are required for the appliance to function through the firewall. So I did just pull up here one of our KB articles. Another great thing about the solution is there's a lot of documentation and help and resources if you have questions, whether it's through our own support page, KB information, through the community and forums that we offer, through Spiceworks, or even on our support page. So here through this KB, which firewall ports are used, you can see all the different ports that can be used and are required for Unitrend support to connect and for replication to a hot site. So I can just chat in that KB information right here if you want the direct link. And another thing I'm going to chat in for everybody here on the call is my direct email address, mlindauer@unitrends.com. So if anyone has any questions that they think of after the call, feel free to reach out and we can kind of get a conversation going that way if you have any particular questions or you want to get an evaluation going or anything of the like. If that's it for questions, thanks so much, everybody, for joining today. I really appreciated your time.
Awesome. Thank you, Max, and thanks for your time and for everyone for joining. If we didn't get to a question today, we will take them offline and follow up with you at the conclusion of the event. And like Max said, if you haven't, go ahead, like us on Facebook and LinkedIn. We're always kind of doing these educational-based webinars, and we'd love to have you and kind of expand your backup and DR knowledge. So thanks again for joining us, everyone, and have a great rest of your day.